Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you may shake the foundation of everything you've been taught about attraction, power, and masculinity. There's a reason you sometimes feel invisible, overlooked, or dismissed, even when you've done everything right. It isn't because you lack charm. It isn't because you weren't kind enough. It's because the world sold you a lie about what truly awakens desire. Think about it. They told you that if you were endlessly understanding, if you were gentle to the point of fragility, if you showed every ounce of vulnerability, then women would line up to love you. But what really happened? You became the safe harbor, the emotional cushion, the dependable listener, while she ran headfirst into the arms of the man who didn't ask for her approval, the one who carried an aura of dangerous certainty. And you've felt that sting, haven't you? That deep confusion when you gave your best and received nothing but friendship, pity, or polite rejection. You wondered, what's wrong with me? But let me ask you, what if nothing is wrong with you at all? What if the problem is the mask you were told to wear? Inside you lives something older than society, older than culture, a fire, a wolf that has been chained and starved. You were told to tame him, to bury him, to smother his growl until all that was left was a puppy, safe, obedient, and harmless. But here's the truth. Women do not dream of puppies. They dream of lions, of wolves, of men who radiate unshakable presence. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about cruelty or violence. I'm talking about raw authenticity, a kind of unapologetic strength that cannot be faked. It's not arrogance. It's not being a brute. It's simply existing in your full intensity without apology. Ask yourself, why do stories of dark, untamed figures, vampires, warriors, outlaws, always capture the female imagination? Why did a book like 50 Shades of Grey ignite a storm of obsession across the world? Because beneath the surface, biology doesn't lie. Women may never confess it openly, but their instincts are drawn to the shadow, the side of masculinity that refuses to be tamed. Picture this: a crowded room. Two men enter. One smiles nervously, eager to be liked, spilling words to earn approval. The other, he walks with calm certainty, speaks little, yet every movement declares, "I belong here." Guess which one her eyes linger on? Guess which one her body responds to before her mind even catches up? This isn't luck. It isn't unfairness. It's nature. And the good news? That same force lives inside you. It has always lived inside you. The tragedy is that you've been taught to hide it. I spent years studying this paradox, watching, testing, peeling back layers of human behavior. And what I found was not a gimmick, not some shallow pickup trick, but a forgotten truth. Attraction is not a performance. It's an energy, a presence, a dance between your light and your shadow. The men who ignite obsession are not the ones who try to be perfect. They are the ones who are whole. They embrace the protector and the predator, the tenderness and the power, the gentleness and the storm. And if you feel a spark stirring inside you as I speak, it's because some part of you recognizes this truth. You've felt it before, in moments where you didn't ask for permission, when you spoke with certainty, when you moved with unshakable confidence. For a moment, the wolf stepped out of his cage. The problem is, you sent him back in. You doubted, you apologized, you shrank, and desire evaporated. But now, the choice is in front of you. Keep living half a life, or awaken the forgotten fire within you. Because once you do, once you release what's been buried, nothing about the way women see you, or the way you see yourself, will ever be the same. Now that you understand the cage you've been locked in, let's step into the wilderness beyond it. Because hidden inside you are certain signals, unspoken codes, that women feel before they even understand them. They are not tricks, they are not lines, they are primal frequencies, messages older than civilization itself. When you embody them, desire doesn't need words. It moves silently, like an underground current. Let me reveal the first one: the predator's gaze. Most men flinch. They see beauty and immediately retreat. Their eyes dart away like prey afraid of being caught. But the man who has embraced his shadow doesn't retreat. He holds. His eyes rest, calm and unhurried, like a lion surveying the savannah. 2 seconds longer. Just enough to create tension, but not desperation. Do you realize how much power exists in those extra 2 seconds? Women feel it instantly. It tells her, I'm not fragile. I won't break first. I can hold the weight of this moment. That difference between eyes that tremble and eyes that claim, decides whether she sees you as a companion or as a force. I remember once being at a cafe, and a woman across the room glanced at me. Most men would have looked away, maybe even smiled nervously. Instead, I simply met her gaze, unblinking, steady, not arrogant, but grounded. Seconds passed. She looked down, her lips curled in the faintest smile. In that moment, without a single word, the dynamic had already shifted. She had felt something. That is the predator's gaze. The power of silence. Here's another truth most men don't see. Nervousness makes them flood the air with words, jokes, explanations, stories, anything to avoid the silence. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is a canvas, and tension paints desire on it. The shadowed man doesn't rush to fill every pause. He lets silence breathe. He answers questions with fragments, with hints, with threads that demand to be pulled. She finds herself leaning forward, trying to decode him, trying to close the gap he has left open. And in that pursuit, fascination is born. I once asked a woman what drew her so obsessively to a man she had met. Her answer was chilling. I never knew what he was thinking. She craved the mystery, the quiet storm behind his eyes. His silence wasn't emptiness, it was depth. Remember this. Words may explain, but silence hooks. The sacred no. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How many times have you reshaped your life, bent your schedule, compromised your values, just to be liked? Every yes spoken out of fear carves away a piece of your spine until all that remains is a shell of a man. The masculine shadow knows the opposite, that boundaries are magnetic. When you say no, not out of cruelty, but out of principle, it radiates value. It says, I have a life, I have priorities. My presence is not free, it is earned. I recall a moment where I had an important commitment, and a woman asked me to cancel it for her. I looked her in the eyes and said calmly, no. Not with anger, not with excuses, simply with certainty. At first, she was surprised. Later, she admitted something. That moment made her respect me more. Why? Because it proved that I was not orbiting her world. She was entering mine. Understand this. What is guaranteed loses its value. Rarity creates desire. The dominant touch. Here is where many men collapse. They touch with hesitation, with apology, as if asking silently, is this okay? Do you approve? But hesitation kills fire. Touch should never feel like paperwork waiting for a signature. When a man rooted in his shadow places his hand on her back, it is firm, guiding, certain. When he draws her closer by the waist, it's decisive, leaving no doubt that he meant to. It's not roughness, it's assurance. And women feel it like an electric pulse through their body. It's not the touch itself that awakens desire, it's the absence of hesitation. Because hesitation whispers insecurity, but decisiveness roars, I belong here. Calm in chaos. The final signal is the rarest, and perhaps the most powerful. Because chaos is inevitable, life will test you, she will test you. And in those moments, most men collapse. They mirror the storm, spiraling into panic or anger. But the man who has embraced his shadow becomes something else entirely. He becomes the still point at the center of the hurricane. When the world trembles, he does not. When she's emotional, he does not drown with her. He anchors her. I once witnessed a man in the middle of what could have been a humiliating disaster. His credit card declined at a crowded restaurant. Most men would have turned red with panic, drowning in shame. But he laughed, shrugged, pulled out another card, and made a joke. What could have been a collapse became a moment of effortless dominance. The woman with him never forgot it, not because of the card, but because he remained unshaken. That is what the feminine craves, the storm outside, the rock inside. Do you see the pattern? None of these signals are games. They are not tricks to memorize. They are expressions of wholeness. Each one is born not from pretense, but from the part of you that has been buried, the fire that society demanded you extinguish. And here's the paradox. The more you unleash these signals, the more women feel drawn. Not because you've become bad, but because you've become complete. The thin line between darkness and power. By now you may be asking yourself, but isn't this dangerous? Won't embracing this shadow make me toxic, arrogant, or cruel? That fear is natural. It's the very warning society drilled into you from childhood. If you embrace your power, you will hurt people. If you show dominance, you are oppressive. If you lead with certainty, you are controlling. But listen carefully. There is a difference between being consumed by the shadow and being integrated with it. One destroys, the other creates. Picture two men. Both carry strength, both radiate presence, but only one is complete. The first man uses power like a shield for his emptiness. He dominates not out of confidence, but out of fear. He mocks others to hide his insecurity. He uses aggression because he lacks control. This is the man society warns you about. The tyrant, the manipulator, the boy in a man's body who mistakes cruelty for strength. Now picture the second man. He doesn't need to belittle anyone because he is already whole. He doesn't need to raise his voice because his calm is more commanding than noise. His presence is sharp, but not cutting. His power uplifts as much as it challenges. This man has not denied his shadow, nor has he surrendered to it. He has integrated it. And that integration is what creates gravity. Do you see the difference? The shadow, when uncontrolled, corrupts. But when embraced with awareness, it becomes fuel. Think of a fire. Left wild, it burns forests to the ground. But contained, mastered, and directed, it warms cities, powers machines, forges steel. The fire itself is not evil. It is the way it is wielded that matters. Your shadow is the same. Anger, when uncontrolled, can destroy relationships. But anger, when mastered, becomes conviction. The fire that pushes you to protect what matters. Desire, when denied, can fester into shame. But desire, when integrated, becomes magnetism, a force that draws others into your orbit without effort. Even fear, when acknowledged, becomes courage. The ability to stand firm despite trembling inside. This is why I tell you, don't fear your shadow. Fear only your refusal to know it, because the man who represses his darkness becomes a prisoner of it. He pretends it isn't there, and so it controls him in secret. But the man who looks into it, who accepts it, becomes free. Let me share a moment that revealed this truth to me. Years ago, I watched two men face rejection. One begged, pleaded, and shrank, his entire self-worth dissolving because a woman said no. His desperation poisoned the air around him. The other, he smiled, nodded, and said with calm finality, "That's fine. I don't chase where I'm not wanted." He walked away, not wounded, but whole. And here's the paradox. Days later, the same woman sought him out again. Why? Because his response was not bitterness, it was sovereignty. He was not needy, he was complete. That is the difference. One man collapses when denied validation. The other stands unshaken because his value is not negotiable. Understand this. Women don't secretly crave cruelty. They don't dream of tyrants. What awakens their deepest desire is a man who knows his own darkness, yet is not enslaved by it. A man who can lead without crushing, who can desire without desperation, who can say no without hostility, who can stand firm without apology. Society will continue to confuse these two men. It will lump the tyrant and the integrated man into the same box and label it toxic. But women's instincts know the difference. Their body recognizes it before their mind can argue. Because the integrated man doesn't radiate fear or control, he radiates certainty. Think again of the fire. One man sets everything ablaze just to feel powerful. The other lights a torch to guide through the dark. Which one are you becoming? The choice is yours. And here's the truth most men avoid. Staying safe doesn't protect you from being toxic. It only makes you invisible. Suppressing your shadow doesn't make you noble. It makes you weak. And weakness, over time, breeds resentment, frustration, and hidden bitterness that does turn toxic. But when you claim your fire, when you allow both your tenderness and your ferocity to coexist, you stop being a boy pretending to be harmless, and you become a man who is whole. This is not about choosing between light and darkness. It is about becoming the horizon where both meet. And once you do, women feel it instantly. It's not about being bad. It's about being real, not fragmented, not apologetic, complete. The Party of Shadows. Imagine this scene. A crowded house filled with music, laughter, and the faint hum of conversations overlapping like waves. The smell of perfume mingles with the sharpness of alcohol. Lights flicker, faces glow, and every room feels like its own universe. At the center of it all, two men walk in. The first man is what most people call the nice guy. He steps in with a wide smile, eager to be liked. Within minutes, he's talking loudly, bouncing from group to group, telling stories designed to impress. His laugh is exaggerated. His eyes scan the room not to observe, but to seek approval. Every gesture whispers, "Please notice me. Please like me. Please say I'm enough." For a while, people smile politely. Some even laugh at his jokes. But there's a hollowness in the air around him, a sense that everything he does is slightly too much, too eager, too rehearsed. Women notice it most of all, not with judgment, but with an instinct older than memory. His energy feels scattered, like static. He is there, but not rooted, present, but not present. Now look at the second man. He does not rush. He does not force himself into the center. He steps into the same room with calm ease, posture steady, gaze unhurried. He speaks less, but when he does, his words carry weight, not because they are clever, but because they are measured. He isn't performing, he is simply being. He leans against the wall, a faint smile at the corners of his lips, watching the room with quiet amusement. Women notice him without even trying to. Their eyes drift toward him, wondering, who is he? What is he thinking? Why does he feel different? Here's the paradox. This man hasn't done anything grand. He hasn't told loud jokes. He hasn't tried to dominate the spotlight, and yet, he becomes the gravity of the room. Not by chasing attention, but by holding his own space so firmly that attention naturally flows to him. Do you see the contrast? One man chases validation, scattering his energy outward. The other man radiates presence, pulling energy inward. One is prey, the other is predator, not because he hunts, but because his certainty draws the gaze of others like a magnetic field. This is not imagination. It's not poetry, it's biology. Women feel this difference in seconds, often before they're even aware of it. It's why one man leaves the party with polite goodbyes, while the other leaves with curiosity burning in their wake. Now, let's zoom into a single moment. A woman approaches both men at different times. With the first, she finds herself doing all the work. He spills his life story, his achievements, his thoughts. Within minutes, she already knows too much. Mystery evaporates. The tension is gone. She is polite, but her instincts mark him as safe, not dangerous, not magnetic. Her curiosity dissolves. With the second, it is different. She asks him about his past, and he answers with fragments, a hint, a glimpse, but never the full story. Silence stretches between them, not uncomfortable, but charged. She leans in closer, not even realizing why, as if her body is trying to solve the puzzle he carries. Her thoughts wander, filling in the blanks. Mystery deepens, tension sharpens, and without him trying, her imagination begins to chase him. That's the secret. Women are not drawn to the man who explains himself to death. They are drawn to the man who creates space for mystery, who is willing to hold silence, who radiates certainty instead of chasing approval. And here's the harsh truth. Every man has been the first man at some point. Every man has tried too hard, spoken too much, bent too far. You've done it. I've done it. It's part of learning. But the men who never move beyond it remain trapped forever. Performers on a stage no one takes seriously. The second man, however, is not a fantasy. He is not some mythical figure. He is simply a man who has integrated his shadow, who no longer apologizes for his presence, who no longer begs for permission to exist. And here's the twist. The first man and the second man live inside the same body, inside you. The difference is not in external tricks, clothing, or memorized lines. The difference is in energy, in presence, in whether or not you allow your hidden fire to surface. At the end of that party, one man walks home empty, wondering why women never choose him despite his kindness. The other leaves with whispers of curiosity chasing him, because he carried something deeper than words, something primal. And when you strip away all the noise, all the theories, all the advice columns and dating strategies, this truth remains. Desire is not intellectual, it is instinctual. It is not negotiated, it is felt. Awakening the shadow, a framework for transformation. Up until now, you've seen the truth. You've seen the signals, the contrasts, the moments where the shadow transforms a man from invisible to unforgettable. But the real question remains, how do you awaken this side of yourself? How do you move from theory into lived reality? because inspiration without action is just another dream. And you've had enough of dreams that lead nowhere. What I'm about to share is not complicated. It is not mystical. It is a framework, 3 phases that any man can walk through. But make no mistake, while the steps are simple, the journey is not easy. It will test you. It will strip you down. It will demand honesty you have probably never given yourself before. The 3 phases are recognition, integration, and calibration. Let me guide you through them. Phase 1, recognition. Before you can reclaim the wolf within, you must first see where he has been caged. Recognition is brutal. It forces you to confront the exact ways you've been shrinking, apologizing, and betraying yourself. Ask yourself, in what moments do I act like prey instead of predator? Where do I flinch instead of hold? Where do I seek permission instead of claiming space? Maybe it's in conversation, when you laugh nervously instead of speaking your truth. Maybe it's in relationships, when you bend every boundary just to keep her close. Maybe it's in your own body, when your posture collapses, when your gaze falls, when your voice softens out of fear. Make a list. Write it down. Every moment you can recall where you chose the safe, domesticated version of yourself. Don't lie. Don't protect your ego. Without recognition, there can be no transformation. This phase is like staring into a mirror that shows not your face, but your compromises. It hurts, but that pain is sacred, because only by seeing the cage can you begin to break it. Phase 2, integration. Recognition alone is not enough. Many men get stuck here. They know their weaknesses, but they never move past awareness. To integrate the shadow, you must practice. Small actions, repeated often, until your nervous system rewires itself to strength. This doesn't mean becoming reckless. It means reclaiming power in small, intentional steps. The next time you meet a woman's eyes, hold them 2 seconds longer than feels comfortable. Let the silence stretch. The next time your phone buzzes, don't reply immediately. Wait. Let space exist. Let her feel the pull of mystery. The next time someone asks you to abandon your priorities for theirs, say calmly, no. Not with hostility, not with excuses, just no. The next time you touch, do it with certainty. A hand on the lower back that says, I know what I'm doing. A guiding gesture that radiates decisiveness. Every one of these acts feels small in isolation, but together they begin to recalibrate your presence. They awaken muscles you didn't know you had, not physical muscles, but psychological ones. Muscles of restraint, muscles of mystery, muscles of certainty. And here's the beauty. You don't need to transform overnight. This isn't about becoming a different man. It's about peeling away what you are not, so that what has always been within you can finally surface. Think of a sculptor chiseling marble. Each strike of the hammer removes a fragment of stone that was never the statue. You are the same. Integration is the slow carving away of weakness until strength is revealed. Phase 3, calibration. Here's where mastery lives, because power without balance is chaos. Once you begin embodying the shadow, you must learn to measure it. Too little, and you remain invisible. Too much, and you become a caricature. Calibration means observing reactions, feeling the energy of the room, adjusting your intensity with precision. Every woman, every person, every situation has its own threshold. Think of it like seasoning food. A pinch too little, and the flavor is bland. A pinch too much, and it overwhelms. The art is not in the spice itself, it's in the balance. This is why awareness never ends. You must learn to read signals, to see when your silence intrigues and when it alienates, when your firmness commands respect and when it borders on harshness. It is not weakness to adjust, it is wisdom. Calibration separates the brute from the master. The brute forces his energy onto others. The master tunes his energy like a musician tuning an instrument. He knows when to play louder, when to hold softer, when to pause, and when to strike with force. This framework is not glamorous. It won't turn you into a movie character overnight. But if you walk it step by step, layer by layer, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel whole, not half a man, not a boy in hiding, but a complete being, shadow and light intertwined. And that wholeness radiates outward. Women sense it. Men sense it. The world senses it. You stop begging for respect because your very presence commands it. Recognition, integration, calibration. 3 steps. a lifetime of power. The only question is, will you walk the path, or will you keep polishing the mask of the tame man who never risks, never grows, never awakens? Because life is moving, time is passing, and every day you spend asleep in that cage is another day your shadow withers. The complete man. Think back to the very beginning. I told you there is a fire inside you, a wolf chained and starved, a diamond buried beneath layers of mud. Now you understand what that means. You've seen the signals, the contrasts, the framework. You've glimpsed the man you could become if you stop apologizing for existing. But here's the truth that cuts deepest. You don't need to create this man. He already exists. He has always existed. What you must do is uncover him. All that dark energy, that hidden certainty, that unshakable presence, it's already yours. But fear has buried it under layers of hesitation. Fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of being called toxic, fear of standing alone. And yet, what has that fear given you? Polite smiles? Friendships that never ignited into fire? Nights spent wondering why she chose someone else? You've been protecting a version of yourself that doesn't even work. You've been defending a mask that wins no battles. It's time to stop. Because every day you live half a life, something inside you withers. Women feel it in your eyes. The resignation, the quiet defeat, the absence of danger. And danger, paradoxically, is what creates safety. A man without fire cannot protect. A man without depth cannot inspire. A man without shadow cannot awaken desire. But when you embrace both sides, your tenderness and your ferocity, your gentleness and your strength, you become something rare, a complete man. And that completeness radiates. Picture a diamond. At first glance, it's just a stone, covered in dirt, dull, unremarkable. But once cut, once polished, once freed from its hiding place, its brilliance blinds. Women recognize diamonds instinctively, not because of their shine, but because of their depth, their indestructibility, their ability to hold light and shadow at once. You are that diamond. You have always been. But you've hidden yourself under mud, pretending to be coal. Now picture the wolf. For years you've treated him as an enemy. You've locked him in a cage, muzzled his growl, starved his instincts. But the wolf was never your enemy. He was your ally, the guardian of your power, the keeper of your primal fire. When you integrate him, when you stop fighting him, he doesn't destroy you. He protects you. He sharpens you. He awakens the hunger that makes life worth living. And then, picture the horizon. The horizon exists because night and day meet. Darkness and light are not enemies. They are dance partners. One cannot exist without the other. You are the same. You are both. And until you accept both, you will remain divided, incomplete. This is why the integrated man feels magnetic. Not because he is pretending, not because he learned tricks, but because he finally stopped fighting himself. He finally said, I am both the storm and the calm, both the lamb and the wolf, both the shadow and the light. And once you reach this place, everything changes. Women feel it before they understand it. Men respect it before they can explain it. You no longer enter a room asking silently, do I belong here? You enter knowing, I am here. That is enough. But this choice cannot be postponed forever. Time is not your ally. Every day you delay, the chains of habit tighten. Every day you hesitate, another opportunity slips away. Another woman's eyes drift past you. Another chance for respect dissolves into air. So, ask yourself, how many years will you waste? How many moments will you watch from the sidelines? How many times will you shrink before you finally decide to rise? The world does not need more half-men. Women do not crave more apologies. Society has enough masks and puppets. What the world starves for is wholeness, for men unafraid of their darkness, unashamed of their strength, unwilling to live half-lives. And that man, the complete man, is already within you. So here is your call. Stop waiting. Stop asking for permission. Stop hiding behind safety. Today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, take one step. Hold her gaze longer. Let the silence breathe. Say no when you mean no. Touch with certainty. Remain calm when storms rise. Do one thing differently, and watch the shift begin. Because transformation is not lightning. It is chiseling. Layer by layer, strike by strike, moment by moment, until the masterpiece emerges. The world does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be whole. So rise, uncage the wolf, polish the diamond, stand at the horizon where shadow and light embrace. Become what you were always meant to be, not half a man, not a boy in hiding, not a performer begging for validation, a complete man. And when you do, the world will feel it, women will feel it, most of all, you will feel it. The fire returns, the hunger awakens, the wolf howls, and for the first time in your life, you will not just live, you will burn.